I never thought I'd be the person who'd stoop to something petty. But then again, I'd never thought I'd survive 7 years of being told I wasn't allowed to have a life either. If you want the short version, I escaped an emotionally abusive relationship, and somewhere between the relief and the PTSD, I did something childish, petty, and irresponsible. This is that story. We met right after high school. He was sweet, funny, and unbelievably charming when we were young and naive. For the first couple of years, it was easy to confuse thoughtfulness with devotion. But after about 2 years, things shifted. The little controlling things started to pile up: who I could see, when I could go out, how late I could be back. He insisted on checking in constantly. He decided, not asked, what nights out I could have, and he framed it as generosity when he allowed me one night out a month. Compliments turned into critiques, laughter into sarcasm. Over time, my sense of self got eaten away by 1,000 small rules and a lot of gaslighting. Leaving him was the hardest and the best decision I've made. The breakup was a mess, traumatic, ugly, and exhausting, but even through the chaos, I finally felt free. I started rebuilding myself: friendships, hobbies, a schedule that wasn't vetted, therapy. Life improved in ways I couldn't have imagined while I was inside that relationship. And then the harassment started. After the breakup, he messaged me a few times a week with accusations and guilt trips. "You still have my stuff. Why are you doing this?" I would check. I didn't have most of the things he claimed I kept. But he did mention one thing I actually did have: his spare house key. I intended to return it. I truly did. Drop it in a mailbox, leave it on the porch, hand it to someone like a decent human. I told him I had it, and his response made my blood run cold. The messages escalated from angry to violent in seconds. "You're such a bitch for keeping that," he wrote. "Probably planning a robbery or revenge." And then the one that seared itself into me: "I dare you to come over here. I'll have a gun waiting for you to put a bullet between your eyes." I took screenshots, blocked him, and for my own safety, reached out to his mother to arrange leaving the key with her. I didn't want anything to do with him, not directly, not indirectly. But in the weeks after that threat, I found myself sitting with my anger in a way I hadn't anticipated. I was furious at what I'd been through and the casualness with which he threatened my life. I wanted to feel like I had some control back, something harmless, something that wouldn't put anyone in danger. My aunt, who works at a hardware store, made a suggestion that seemed so ridiculous and childish. It almost felt like therapy. Make a bunch of harmless copies of the key and leave them in public places, with his name and phone number attached. "If he's so prone to freak out, let him freak out," she said, half joking. She offered to help. I knew it was petty. I knew it might cross a line, but I was also the person who had to sleep with the knowledge that he was capable of saying he'd shoot me for coming anywhere near his house. So we did it. She made the copies, not because I wanted him harmed, not because I wanted his property taken, but because the idea of him getting constant small annoyances, a slow drip of embarrassment and inconvenience, felt like a way to reclaim some of my dignity without hurting anyone. So I started leaving keys. Fast food restaurants, coffee shops, Target, parks, anywhere I happened to be and could discreetly leave a tagged key. Each key had a tag with his name and phone number so the finder would likely call him. It felt absurd and juvenile, and there were nights I couldn't stop laughing at how ridiculous it all was. There were also nights when I felt a pang of guilt, and imagining an innocent person finding one of those keys made my stomach twist. But mostly, it became a ritual, a way to turn the fear and powerlessness into a small, private act that let me breathe. From what I've heard, and I swear I never listened to calls or anything, this is all secondhand, he has received about 20 phone calls from people saying they found keys. He assumed someone in his family was sloppy or that a mutual friend was pranking him. He has no idea it was me. I've kept it anonymous on purpose. Part of me wanted him to puzzle that out. Part of me didn't want to risk his anger turning back toward me. A year later, I still have 10 keys left. Sometimes I think I should stop. Sometimes I think it was childish and stupid and that by continuing, I'm lowering myself to his level. Other times, I look back at the messages where he threatened to kill me and tell myself that a little mischief is a minor repayment for the years of being controlled and the terror of that threat. I'm not proud of this. I'm not telling this story to brag. If anything, I'm exposing how messy healing can be. When you've been systematically belittled, the impulse to retaliate, even in small ways, is almost reflexive. I don't think I ruined anyone's life by leaving a key at a park bench. I don't think I endangered anyone. But I do recognize that I acted out of anger and fear, not because it was right. Writing this confession is part of my attempt to be honest with myself. If you've been through abuse, you understand the complicated places the mind goes to when reclaiming power feels necessary. You also understand how hard it is to keep your moral compass intact while your emotions are still raw. For other survivors reading this, please don't look to what I did for inspiration. Do better than me. Find ways to heal that don't involve ongoing deception or potentially exposing others to trouble. Call a friend. Contact the police if you're threatened. Change your locks. Get a restraining order. Talk to a therapist who understands trauma. I didn't do all of those things at once, and I should have prioritized my safety and the rule of law over petty revenge. If you're wondering whether I feel guilty, yes, sometimes. Mostly, I feel like a person still learning where the line is between self-defense and retaliation. I have tried to make amends in other areas of my life, reconnecting with friends, going to therapy, learning to set boundaries without vilifying myself. The keys thing is a stain on my past year that I'm not sure how to scrub out, but I'm trying to acknowledge it honestly instead of pretending it didn't happen. Would I do it again? Maybe, maybe not. Would I recommend it to anyone? Absolutely not. It was a temporary balm for a wound that needed real care. I'm telling this because I think being honest about the ugly parts of our healing matters, not to normalize bad behavior, but to show how messy it can be when you're trying to find yourself again after someone insisted you didn't deserve one. So, there it is. Petty, illegalish, and born out of fear and anger. A year of leaving spare keys around town like confetti, watching from a distance as his life was inconvenienced in small doses. I recognize it could have gone worse, and I'm trying to steer the rest of my recovery onto a less vindictive path. But for now, 10 keys remain in my drawer, and I'm not sure when or if they'll be gone. Healing is a process, and sometimes processes are ugly.